Some of you, all of you know about what it is, but we're going to share some tips that we've learned along the way that we hope will help you get the most out of EQUINET. So we know your time is valuable. So just a couple of housekeeping things first. My name is Brooke. If you've ever emailed or called or sent us a message, I'm part of the team that's helping. So it's nice to meet you if I haven't met you before. First things first, if you would like, the best way to get the most out of this demo is to follow along with whatever device you typically take with you to appointments. So if that's your phone, use your phone. If it's a tablet or a computer, use those things. If you're having any trouble downloading or getting started, at the end of this discussion, we're going to pull up a couple of resources for you. One of which is just the ability to book an appointment with Tim and I, so you can get some one-on-one help. And if you're joining from Australia or New Zealand, we might be talking about a few features that aren't yet ready in your area, like invoicing. We'd be happy to talk about that as well. If you have any questions, we'll be addressing those at the end of the webinar. So feel free to go to the bottom of your screen. You'll see a feature there called Q&A, which you can submit a question, and we're happy to get to that. If we don't, for any reason, we'll make sure to get to you after the webinar. And lastly, we're going to be recording this call, so you can go back and reference it at any time. So joining me today is Tim Shannon. He's been using EQUINET for about a year. Hi, Tim. I would love to start out with Tim just introducing yourself and telling us just a little bit about your experience with EQUINET so far.
All right, thanks, Brooke. I am Tim Shannon. I've been shoeing since 1987. Had a busy practice over the years with backyard horses all the way to performance horses, traveling internationally, and working in teams with vets and owners. Um, yeah, and just keeping the business going. I shoe about 80 to 90 head a month now. Been slowing down a lot the last few years. At the peak, I was at about 250, keeping myself busy. But um, that's what I've been using. I been doing. I have used an app over the years. I used iForge Ahead for quite a while. I found it lacking. It was missing some continuity between the different areas, or what I call the pillars of the app, and made it kind of clunky and it didn't have much efficiency. So I just clued into one part, which was the invoicing, and that's pretty much all I used in it. When it came to keeping notes, I would do that on paper. Would keep notes for different horses, different clients, all the notes we keep about just, directions and how to get the places and gate codes and that. So I did it that way for a long time. But I've had the opportunity in the last year to become acquainted with EQUINET. And I found it to be more efficient. The pillars all seem to work together. There's a triad of systems, the scheduling, the entries, and the invoicing that work really well together and make my job go really smoother, a lot easier, and make myself look a lot more professional, which is, I think, very important, as we need to present professionally. So this triad I spoke about once, the scheduling, the entries, and the invoicing all work really well together, and are a good way to deliver information to the clients, to owners, trainers, vets, other farriers, if you need. And I thought, okay, I've been at this a while. I have an app. I'm of that generation, the old dude that does a lot of things on paper. And can he change? And turns out I could.
Right.
Turns out I could, because it did make things that much easier. And I had this opportunity to get it. I am working with Mustad, and another thing that Mustad does over the years is always pay attention to the farriers and take input. And I have a chance now to put my input into the system and how EQUINET works and make it more farrier friendly. So over the last year, we've made a couple changes, and it's gotten quite efficient to help us out in the field. And it just, it's getting better and better all the time. It's getting really good, working really well.
And one of the things that I think is interesting about your story is that obviously you had a very successful business that you were running in a very successful way, but something about it, you just thought maybe there's a way for it to grow. What maybe you can tell me about if you were skeptical of EQUINET at first and how you kind of came to feel about it now.
Yeah, so I the skepticism I had about getting into it was could I figure it out?
Right,
You know, the reality is that my brain has been working one way for a long time.
right.
But could I figure it out? But I had a drive to figure it out. I think one thing I learned in sport horseshoeing, the upper levels, the top level of any sport, I would say the top 3% are separated by just are they having a good day or not? It's a lot of little details. So that
Mhm.
old adage of if it ain't broke, don't fix it does not apply when you're trying to exceed in any career. What applies is it's not broken, but can we make it better? And that's the way I look at it. Maybe it's me needing to step up. And I looked at this app and I saw what was in it and I thought, this could make me better. This
Yeah,
could really make my business look even more professional, and could make my job easier. And I can figure those things out. And the app, to me, is pretty intuitive. So it was easy to get out. Obviously, we have a great EQUINET support here that gets us through stuff. I remember some of the initial calls I had to talk to them to help me out get it figured out. But I did, and I mean now I have friends that are farriers, and they're using it, and they're just calling me. Says, "Hey, how do you do this part?" I tell them real quick, "Done, goodbye, have a good day." Super easy. So we're creating a network out there as well of people that are on EQUINET helping each other out. And usually it's not what I'm finding is not a glitch in the system. It's just that button. You know, it, what I have found is it's easier than you think it is.
right,
When you want to put a time on a calendar, you don't look for where you put a time. You just touch the time and you're there. It's
right,
something that easy. So yeah, it was kind of easy to come around once I decided, went to my old adage, it's not broke, but can I make it better? Okay, now I'm committed to making it better. Here's what I'm gonna do.
right. I'd love for you to maybe share your screen with us so we can get a glimpse of how you're using it. Because what I love about EQUINET is that it really is an all-in-one business tool, but you can use it how you want to use it for your business, right? Use the features that really work for you. So I'd love to see you share your screen and just show us those features that you've been talking about and walk us through maybe some tips and just ease of use.
I'll get that going. Usually what I do while I'm getting this set up is when I start my day, I check my schedule to make sure I know where I'm going. Um, I make see if I need to send reminders to anybody later in the week. Um, and make sure I know where I'm going for the day. And then through the day, I'm creating entries as I go through my schedule through my day. I duplicate appointments, which is extending the appointment to next time, creating a new appointment, and then sending invoices, and then I get home. So it all works pretty smoothly. Let me go ahead and get it up so you guys can see it.
Sure, take your time.
Okay,
Looks good.
do we see that now? Good.
Yep.
Okay, so this is the main dashboard um, that opens up. Um, when you turn it on, you can see dashboard down on the bottom left. And you can get each one of these to have each one has a drop down. I usually keep mine open on upcoming appointments. I'll hit that drop down and that tells me what I'm doing for the day. So as soon as I open my phone, this is usually what I see. So I know where I'm going. And from there, I can just hit the schedule and I can see what my week, what the month looks like, what my week looks like, and go from there to make sure everybody's confirmed. One thing I do like to do is my schedule is kind of dynamic. So I'll make an appointment and I usually don't confirm it right away. I wait till about a week out and then I can send a reminder and it goes out and it lets people know what's going on. So let me go through real quick, just setting somebody up to show how easy this is. Um, on the bottom in the middle is a plus. You can press that plus, and here's where you go to add new anything from here. So I'll start with a contact. Now here I can click import from contact book, and a lot of us have used that. It goes right to your contact book. You can check who you want, and then they will come into the system. But I'm going to create one by hand real quick. So we'll call this new client Joe Owner, and select a role for this person, the owner of the horse, and then add a phone number and an email address. If you want, you can add their address so you know where you're going. Notes, here's where you can put anything about the client, if there's a gate code or something to get in. I'll show you later. I use this for what shoes I use on the horse. And then select horse. We want to add a new horse. So here where you can just throw the name in. We'll call him Dobbin. Shoeing cycle is going to be every 6 weeks. You can notify them when they're due. Here's where you can add the age, birth date. It will automatically bring the age up if you put the birth date, gender, and everything about the horse you can add here. You can add this when you're creating the client, or you can also add it. You can also add it at a later time. When I'm creating a new horse, I usually just put the name in real quick and then click save. And then I will do the additional stuff later. Another way you can do this is to, and a friend of mine gave me this tip, is he does this on his iPad. You can do this on a tablet. You can do it on the web. You can do it all over. It's cloud-based. It's always updating. So what he does is he gets a new client. He just opens up the new contact page and hands the tablet to the client, and they fill everything in, and it's all done. So once you get the contact in, you can save it. So I have Joe Owner saved. And now I want to make a new appointment. So this is going to be a service appointment. I pick a day and time. I want to work on this horse, let's say this Saturday at 11. So what I tapped there was just the 11 o'clock time on that bar. And it comes into this screen. So now I have a Saturday appointment, April 5th, 11 to 12. I can send a reminder to remind the contact here. Select the contact. What are we doing here? Just a quick search. Joe Owner. I'm going to check that box, click done, go back here. So I have Joe Owner. I can invite Joe via SMS and then select the horses I want to work on. So I'll click select horses. It goes into his horses. I'll click one. And in this page, if a client, I have barns in here that might have 15 horses, but I'm not doing all 15 every time. So I'll just select the horses I'm going to be doing that day and put them in. Click done. So we have the horses, Dobbin, the owner. We have a date and a time. Up on the top, automatically create a new entry for each horse. That has an entry ready to go for you in the appointment, or you can create new. I'm going to go ahead and uncheck that box and show you on the other side how to create the entry. And then click save. All done, everything is synced, and I'm back to my home screen. So I get up Saturday morning, check my page. I got Joe here scheduled. I press on Joe. There it is, Joe. Service appointment, going to be working on Dobbin. I'll click that. We go through the appointment. I have Dobbin to do. Let's say he gets a set of shoes. So I'll click on Dobbin. We get done. Here's where on the bottom of the screen it says add entry. I will add the entry.
Tim, could you talk a little bit about the significance of what an entry is and how that's helping you keep records
Yes.
for your
Yes.
business?
So an entry is where you log in what you have done with that horse. Um, and you need to create an entry if you're going to create an invoice. And you need to create an entry if you need to keep track of any therapeutic work that you're doing. Here's where you can add pictures and any information, any documents that a vet has sent you, and notes to keep up with. And all of these are going to be put together in a report that you can send to the owners and the vets so they can keep up on the treatment going on with the horse, where things are going, and you can also use photos to document. So I have a new entry. So let's say Dobbin had an abscess today. So I'll write abscess on the left front. Okay. And then photos. We need a photo. So here's, you select photo, and you can choose from photos that you've already taken, or you can open up the camera. I'm going to open up the camera real quick, take a quick shot of the bottom of his coffin bone, because that's where it was. I like that picture, so I'm going to save it. So we have his photo there. So we have the photo, we have notes, abscess on left front, treat with comfort mix. And we're done. We have it. And what do we do? He was a half set today. So let me go back.
Tim, what's an example of when you would maybe use the private note features, and maybe you can just talk about the difference between notes and private notes?
Yeah. So I'll finish up job type. I click job type, and he was a half set. So now we know what we did. Notes are public. Notes are going to go with the report. Private notes, if I have like a client that likes to stay on their phone and not hold the horse, I will put that, make sure, Joe stays off his phone while he's talking to me or while he's holding the horse. Things like that. If the horse tends to kick on the right hind, I'll put that in there. If the horse bites, I'll put that in there.
Right.
Different things I just want to know for myself that will not be exported. So I have that. I have the date, half set front, and he had an abscess, treat with comfort mix, and we have a picture of the abscess. So I'll click save in the top right. It will make sure you've entered everything. I'll click yes. And then there we go. It's done. We have an entry now for him. You can see add entry on the bottom. That's where we created a new one like we just did. Now, when you create the appointment and it says automatically create an entry for this, there would have been one there already for me, ready to go. I didn't have to add one. So now I can open this up. The job is done. I need to add an invoice. So I'll open up his entry and I will press on the add to invoice. It opens up a new invoice page. You can apply tax for the states that have tax. This will modify to that. You can set the tax rate for your state if you need to. I'm in California. We don't need to. Due in 30 days. We have an entry there, half set front. We need to select that and add a procedure. This is where the money comes in, where you do your billing. So we shod the front, done. Now there's a whole list here of items, and we can see on the top, tap to select manage procedures via settings, invoicing, and administration. Now, if I click that, I can add a new procedure on the fly. This is one of the things I really liked about this app over iForge Ahead. Anytime I needed to add a new item, a new shoeing, a new procedure, I had to back out of what I was doing, go into another part of the app, add it, and then back out and come back in. This can all be done on the fly. So we've all heard the phrase, pricing changes according to client's temperament. And you can certainly do that right away here, or horse's temperament, whatever it is. So I have different prices for different shoe sets and different trimmings. Depending on my location, I cover a big area. Other 3D pads, like I did this crack debridement with acrylic patch the other day, and I didn't have that in there yet. So I just add procedure, put that in there, and then I had it. So going back to entry, we have the one shoe front. All the notes are in there. Click save. Now we have an invoice total on the bottom of 150. We want to save, top right, and now we have an invoice. I can approve it at this point. There we go. And to send it, what I will do is click send and click up my text messages and then put their phone number in there. And it goes. I will say, when I was using iForge Ahead, I was emailing all of my invoices. At this point, I'm pretty much texting all of my invoices, and I am getting paid much quicker, usually within 24 hours, a lot of times within half an hour of when I send the text message. So that's done a lot for keeping a low balance of monies owed.
And that saves you time, right? Because you're not having to constantly go back through your emails, ask
Right,
people where the money is. It
right.
means those little things with efficiency that when you get to go home, you get to go home. You don't have to be on your screen.
Get to go home, exactly.
Right.
So I have my day here. I usually keep it, like I said, on the dashboard, or if I'm on an appointment, I'll keep it open on the appointment. But let's say somebody sent me a Venmo. Joe owner sent me a Venmo for 150. I come into the app real quick, and I just bottom right corner on more gives you this screen. I go to invoices. I see Joe owners on the top. Click Joe owner, and then click set to paid. That's how quick you can mark an invoice paid on the fly. When I Forge Ahead, it's cloud based, but it's not an app, so you have to log in all the time. And I would have to log in, and the mobile version is very small, not big buttons like you have here. That farriers will have fat fingers and fat thumbs. We can't hit the little stuff. So it would take me a while to pay or mark things paid. Usually I would make a note in a notebook and write, Joe owner paid. So when I got home that night, I would log into my computer and take care of the payment because I could see things easier and would do it there. But now, I can mark paid when I'm walking from the horse back to the truck. That's how fast it happens. So that is my day. I can also show you. Basically what I do is I check the schedule in the morning, check if I need any reminders to go out. I create entries during the day while I'm going through my appointments. And I will say you don't have to always create an entry. I've got clients that, the horses get done easy peasy. There's money waiting for me there. And I don't have to get into the entries at all. The ones I do, this is here for me. And then reschedule the next appointments and invoice whoever I have to, and then get home. Now, the entries, one thing that I really like about the entries, and this is something that really drew me to the app, is the ability to track information. So I have a horse that started getting two cracks, unusual. Saw it about a week ago, and I saw the vet, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to work on this horse. It's got a couple cracks. Could you get some radiographs for me to make sure our balance is lined up right, and then we can start addressing this?" He said, "Sure." I got an email a couple days later, and had the radiographs in it. So what I did is, again, I clicked the bottom right button, more, go up here to horses. There's Tashi, and I can look at Tashi and I can look at an entry. He sent me radiographs on that day. So last week I just put these radiographs into here. What I do is when a vet sends me radiographs, some send them in JPEGs. I'm sure a lot of you have received radiographs before. They either come with in JPEGs or they come with a player, and you have to open up the player and then find the radiographs there. I found the easiest way to get them into the system is just screenshot your radiographs. And then when you are in the entry page and you want to upload a picture, you just go to your gallery, click, click, click. I put these 4 in at the same time. You don't have to do one at a time. I clicked all 4, upload, boom, they're in there. And then, and that's when I wrote under notes, the first line, balance films for crack evaluation. That's when I wrote that because I knew I was going to see that horse yesterday. I received these radiographs last Friday. Put it
Oh,
in there. So when I got to Tashi's appointment yesterday, um, I looked at, oh, come back on. I did what I normally do is look at the schedule, see where I'm going, open it up, look at the listed horses. Tashi's there. She's got an entry. I tapped it. This comes up. I'm like, okay, here's the radiographs. Now I can take these radiographs. I got the horse in front of me. Now I can assess it and got the horse shot. Then what I did, made more notes. Tashi has 2 cracks, starting on the left front. I got the rads, trim foot to balance, set shoot at center rotation, add a frog support and Xeno. There's some striations. We think this might be the origin of cracks. And then a copy of this goes to the vet and to the owner. All done, super quick, super easy. This was done, these notes I added on here were done while Tashi was being walked back to her stall and another horse was coming up. I was sitting there with my Mountain Dew because I had a lot of horses to do that day and made these notes. It's done. And since the note was done, I thought, what the heck? I might as well just add this to an invoice and send it out real quick. So the horse got invoiced before the next horse was there, and then just started working on the next one. And that's where the time savings really comes in.
mm-hmm.
Is it's just usually 3 to 5 clicks away, and you're sending an invoice, or you're creating an entry, or pictures are going in, or you've made an appointment. It's just click, click, click. And again, it's that triad, the scheduling, the entries, and the invoicing that work together that really can smooth out our day and make us look professional. We can send out invitations when the appointment is started. It's a toggle switch. You either send them out or you don't. And you can have clients confirm through that as well. They will get a notice. They click on it and it comes back to you under recent messages. I'll click that, all messages. Right there, you can see an appointment was confirmed by Tim Shannon. That was on another practice one. So who's confirmed. And what this does is you're creating a time space in your customer's mind, and they will pay attention to you a little more. And you look a little more professional that way, and they will start being more generous with their time and making sure they're there and horses are ready. Because think about it, when we have appointments and things need to be rescheduled, you know who you can bump and you know who you can't. And some people are more important in all of our books. We got to be honest. And what this does is you're raising your value in the client's mind to when they have other appointments they're juggling, they're thinking, okay, Tim Shannon's doing my horse on this day. I can't move that appointment around. He's already sent me a reminder. He's already sent me an invitation. I've already confirmed that's all done. I'm not moving that. So that increases our value in the customer's mind, and that's just another thing that this app helps us with. EQUINET helps us be more professional, look more professional, and be treated more as a professional.
I like your example because it does help you with your professionalism, but it's also helping you with your client communication. And I think there's a certain level of security then that it's giving you, that when you got those images from the vet, you just automatically put them in and you weren't surprised. There's nothing that got lost in translation. So you could, it sounds like, have really educated conversations with your clients and the vets. that you want to have.
Yes, yes. And another thing is, I mean, I don't know if it's happened to you guys. It's happened to me. I've gotten back to a horse and looked at the shoeing, and something's going on. I'm like, yeah, what was going on? What was I thinking last time?
Hmm.
And if it's something really different, I would have made notes on it. And so I just look into the entries and see, oh yeah, that's what was going on last time. Okay, well, I better check this and keep up on that. And and it really helps me remember. In the horses, let me go back to horses. That's the more button. So horses, I will take Tashi out of there. But you can see, here's going to be a picture of Angus. I got a butt shot. But you can take photos of them. So if you need distinguishing marks, I do a lot of thoroughbreds. I do a lot of bay horses, so I got to figure out who they are. If they got something special on them that will help you identify them, that's nice. Now I know Angus has a big butt and has a star, between her eyes and between his eyes, and otherwise kind of a plain bay. So I can find him. That helps. Another one here's Bay Boy. He was a little shy, but he's a smaller horse. But it's just so I can kind of remember what the horse looks like. That I found has been helpful.
Tim, are there any other features that you want to just briefly tell us about when you hit that plus button? Just kind of educate people on when we talk
Yeah,
about it being an all-in-one tool, what we're really saying is that you have the things that you need to run your business. What you decide to use and how you decide to use it is really up to you.
absolutely, absolutely. I think that's a really good point, Brooke. If you think of having to use the whole thing, you might be overwhelmed,
Right.
especially if you want to adopt it.
Mhm.
And you don't have to. When I look at um, oops, when I'm working on horses and I'm pulling a shoe off the rack, I've always considered that shoe a suggestion. I'm going to shape it to what I need and how it's going to function best for this horse. Same with the app, there's a lot of things here, but that's just a lot of tools that you can use or not, that will fit your practice individually, and you individualize the app to you and your practice and how it works. Right now I use the invoicing, of course, the horse information, contacts, appointments, and entries for them a lot. That's where I live with it. You can create a shopping list on here. I'll press shopping list real quick, and you can start adding things there. Um, you can go right into add, and we have shoes listed here. And we don't just have must-add shoes, just all the shoes we know that are out there. This list is being updated all the time because there's so many different shoes out there. And now that a lot of farriers are using it, we're getting a lot of feedback on what shoes need to go in there. And nails, rasp, tools, everything is in there. You got a date. One thing you can do with this shopping list is once you save it, it saves into a PDF, and you can email it to your supplier, and they can fill out your order, and you can just pick it up if you want. Get good relationship with your supplier, maybe bring them by a sandwich in the middle of the day, and they will have your order ready and waiting for you.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
just another one of those time-saving things that um, it can just be, like you said, ready for you and being able to keep up with your inventory to know when you're low on stock and need to generate one of those shopping lists can be really nice too. If that's something that you feel like, wow, I could really use some extra efficiency with that, that's something we can help you with.
Definitely, definitely. And there's the inventory there. Categories, shoes, downtime. Yeah. So I'm just going through the menus real quick here. So yeah, on the plus, that's what we have there, the inventory items, the shopping list, our invoicing we went over. Those get sent in a PDF. And the other thing I didn't add is this will hook up to QuickBooks as well. So if you run your business on QuickBooks, you can have the invoice sent over to QuickBooks, and it will go out through there. I don't use it myself, but a lot of people do, and that's very convenient for them. All the information on the horse you want to keep there, pictures, private notes, regular notes. Um, what I will do here, one of the tips and tricks that I like, I will go to the More button, find horses, and pick a horse here. Hopefully, doing it here. Yeah, so in the notes that we were looking at before, um, you can see here I put what this horse wears front, an ought and a one, because this horse has a high low going on, so one foot is smaller than the other, and the hind number one select. So when I'm going to stock my truck for the day or see what needs to be done, I can go right into there and see what the horse is wearing. And I can make sure it's on the truck. Super easy to find. I don't have to go to entries to see how I shod the horse last time. Um, I can go right to the horses, look at the info, and I know what that horse is wearing, and I know if it's on my truck.
Excellent. Is there anything you want to show us that we haven't covered, Tim, or should we jump into questions?
I think we can jump into questions. Yeah, I think, yeah, let's jump into questions.
Okay, so we have a few. I'll give you a minute to get out of that before I start asking. Okay,
Are we
so
done sharing?
yep.
Okay, let me get out of there.
So I'll just review these
There we go.
questions here.
Yeah, good.
Okay, so someone says, I'm currently using a different app for my business. Is it really worth switching? Is EQUINET any better?
Um, yeah, well, obviously I don't know the app you're using, but I will say myself moving from iForge Ahead to EQUINET has been great. Yeah. And really, like I said, kind of an older dude having to change my habits and that, and it took a while.
Right.
But about 6 months in, I got an update and I didn't do the update correctly and it didn't load right. And I got into a bit of a panic because I thought, okay, everything is on here.
Mm-hmm.
It was my mistake. I just redid it and it worked. But that's when I realized I was hooked. Now I'm using the app. Now it's part of my life. And now it really helps with my business.
Right.
And I hadn't had that feeling before. So that's when I knew I'm moving away and actually moved just about everything onto the phone notes for my whole day, my calendars, everything.
And I think that's why it is worthwhile to, be using a tool that also comes with pretty heavy duty customer support. That when you have that moment of, oh no, what do I do? Or I'm not sure I'm doing this right, or I'm kind of anxious about something, you do have a team of people that will help you when you need it. So I think that's an excellent asset of EQUINET and something that we always really strive for. Let's see what else we have. So someone's saying, and this makes so much sense, I don't have much free time to commit to learning something new. Do you have any tips for how to get started? And is it really worth me taking more time out of my day to
Yes.
learn?
So it is worth the investment. If you're thinking about doing it, you're halfway there. You might as well just you got one foot in the door. You might as well put
Right.
the other foot in and do it. And I think, I'm not gonna lie, it will take some time to figure out,
It's a new
but you
tool.
will figure it out. And I
Mhm.
mean, you had to figure out how to use nippers, right? So once you learn how to use nippers, you got good. You needed to learn how to shape shoes. You needed to learn how to make clips. All these things were a little difficult in the beginning, but worth every second because now, you need to pull a clip. You don't even think about it. You're talking to somebody on the side while the clip is appearing underneath your hammer on the shoe, right? And this is the same thing. Once you take the time and look at it, figure it out, do it, and learn it, it's going to be second nature. It's just going to happen, and it's going to go on while like I said, it happens between horses. When I get in the truck, I'm still in a little bit of uh, a habit of checking it too often because I'm thinking I need to do something else and I don't. It's already been done and it's ready to go. So I'm loosening up a little bit and but it's given me time and I it's a gift and I haven't fully realized it yet, but it's definitely given me time.
Right. So I think this is one you'll be able to relate to because you don't work within a team. This one's saying, I'm gaining more clients, but it can be a struggle to keep up with all of them. How is EQUINET helping you with client communications?
Oh yeah, so with client communications, just the send the invitation to when you need to when you're making the appointments, so they know that's just all you do is click a box and it takes care of itself. And once the client responds, it just comes in as a message that was on the top of the screen and shows that they've confirmed and you're good to go. No reason to get back with them. You just show up. And since you're looking so professional, they're going to make the time for you. You're going to be there. Um, all the communication you see in the entries, like when I worked on Dobbin just now and the horse had an abscess, that client knows now to treat it has an abscess on the left front and to treat it with comfort mix. They already know it's done. That was done, while I was sitting on the back of my truck. Phone calls take time. It's a personal touch, but they do take time. But if you can just do this, and when you do have time later, just as a business note, call somebody up, the client up and say, hey, did you get that note and how's it working for you? That really imbues you to the customer even more. But yeah, the entries are what is going to ease the communication.
Right. Yeah, I think it's peace of mind too as a business owner to know that you don't have to keep it all in the front of your mind. You have made
No,
notes for yourself, and when you get a question, you have that security of knowing that you have what you need when you need it. If you get a question, you've got notes, you've got images ready to go of any
absolutely.
one of your books. So this one is about teams. And I know you don't work with teams, but you've talked to a lot of farriers who
Yeah.
do. Tell us a little bit about how teams work in EQUINET and how that can help businesses that are a little different from yours.
Yeah, so the teams, let's say I had a team I was managing. I would have three other farriers that also had the app, but they would be listed as team members for me. And I could do the scheduling and I could schedule them out. Each team member would have a different color on the schedule and know who they are and where they're going. If you're trying to keep up with a lot of horses, excuse
Hmm.
me, this will help. You got everybody working, but it gives you continuity. So let's say Jerry's working on a horse for me this cycle, but next cycle, Brad's going to be working on that horse. He can see the entry and see what was done last time. And of course, Brad's in the front of my head. He works in Australia. They do a lot of thoroughbreds, a lot of brood mares, a lot of babies. So they're chronicling these things. So they're looking at, weanlings that are having angular rotational deviations and they're making trims specifically for that. And they're trimming them every probably 4 weeks. And one guy's going to look at it, take a before and after, and make notes on what was trimmed. And then when somebody comes in the next time, they can see, well, here's what we did last time. Did it work? Do we need to do something else? And ultimately, who's going to benefit the most is the horse in this situation, right? Because the communication is going between the farriers, there's continuity. And I guess that's what, this whole thing we're doing with entries and all this documentation does is it ultimately helps the horse. And that's what we're trying to do here is help the horse.
Right.
So the teams works good that way. I've talked to some people that are putting together teams now, and the farrier business is a family affair.
Right.
So these farriers have a wife at home that's doing some of the scheduling. This is web-based, so she can be on the laptop at home and getting appointments out and going and managing the crew. And once the entries are showing up, she can create an invoice and send those. So now you have guys that are working for you that just going out, making their entries and then going home. They're much happier. They don't have to do any paperwork at the end of the day. Has all been done through the day. Me managing the team, I know all the work got done. I'm putting out fires and dealing with the horses I'm dealing with. And then the invoicing gets done at another part because it is, and since it is again cloud-based, uh, my wife can be changing the schedule and I can see it in real time during the day. And that's another thing I'll bring up in teams. A team isn't always a lot of people.
Right.
I've run into a few farriers at the summit this year where the wives were dragging their farrier husband over and say, tell me about this app because
Mhm.
I'm managing his schedule right now and he just messes it all up and I got to figure out what to do. So, it could be a team of one, and just a husband and wife working together on the business, sharing the time, doing the labor, and keeping up with things. So there's a lot of ways to use it. Like I said, this has a lot of versatility. You don't have to use every part, but all the parts are there to have a successful practice and a successful experience. By just using a few of them, you'll have a successful experience and it will benefit your practice, benefit the horses in your practice, or you can use all of it.
Right. So you've obviously been in the industry for quite a while. So, and you already had an established book. And I think for farriers who are in that situation, it seems daunting. And I can totally understand this to make the switch, to get all of your horses in, to get all your contacts in. Maybe you can tell me a little bit about how you did that in a way that felt manageable
Yeah.
and a way that you felt confident and comfortable with.
Yeah. So it did seem like a big thing to do.
Right.
A lot of what I'm telling you is what I learned working on it. And at first I did see it as like, there is a lot of stuff here. What am I going to do? So I
Mhm.
chunked it out, different parts. And what I started doing is just, okay, I'm going to use this. I'm committed. I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to start tomorrow. Put in the client. I'm going to put their horses down and then go to the next one. Didn't even work on the scheduling, just getting everybody in the system. And then if I was starting to like it, I was like, okay, now I'm going to get ahead of schedule. I'm going to, import contacts. I'm going to start trying to figure this out and get them all in there. Before I know it, they're all in there. And I thought, well, shoot, I got that done. Well, let me see how the scheduling works. I'm going to start scheduling, a couple appointments a week and see how that goes. And slowly that started working. And as I'm scheduling during the week and just doing a week, um, things started going well. And then I thought, okay, now I'm at this appointment. Oh, I can duplicate this appointment. Okay, now I'm going to put it out another 6 weeks. And it doesn't happen overnight. It's going to take you a few months to adapt to it. That's normal. That's how things work. You can't just change a system that quickly.
Right.
But as you slowly move into it, all of a sudden you're gonna be like, well, how this is working too good. That's why I had that epiphany when I didn't do the update correctly. As I hadn't realized until that point how dependent I got on the system and how well it was working for me.
Right.
So just I would say chunk it out, just a little bit at a time. You get spare time, go ahead and fill out the rest of the details on the horses, what discipline and that and their age and all those things when you get a chance. But really to use the system, you don't need to use all that stuff. You can just put their name in and you're good to go.
Exactly. So a couple of questions, just for you specifically, Tim. Could you just tell us maybe a little bit more about where you think that you've seen the most value for your business when switching to EQUINET?
The most value, I guess the top thing would be now that I'm in it and using it regularly is the time savings. And
Right.
again, it was a learning curve. It's just like learning how to do, well, I said clips earlier or making a bar shoe or, putting rocker toes in shoes. It takes a while to figure it out. It takes practice. That's what we're doing. That's what I was doing those first few weeks when I got on was practicing. But once the practice came down, it was saving me a lot of time.
Right.
So, yeah, yeah, saves time.
Do you think that you've picked up any additional tips that have helped you manage your business or that you'd like to share today?
Tips managing the business or tips in the app
Tips
or
in the app.
tips in the app. Yeah, well, the one tip was in the notes area of the horse. I put what they're wearing. That helped a lot.
Right.
Because when I'm stocking the truck, I'm like, okay, who am I working on tomorrow? Let me look at the schedule. So I look out, I look at tomorrow's day. Like this morning, I did Raz and Cap. So I just looked at Raz. I just clicked on Raz. Boom, there it is. Cap. Boom. Click. Oh, it's already on the truck. I'm good to go.
Right.
Um, so that that saved me a lot of time. That was a good tip. Um, I don't send out um, um, the appointments confirmations to ahead of time when I create the appointment because in all likelihood probably about a third of my appointments get moved around.
Mhm.
Like in the beginning of a week, I'll do a horse and let's say it's Chrissy. I'll move it out 6 weeks. I'll put it on a Monday again at a time, but I know that might not be where she ends up that week. It might be somewhere else. Um, So I wait till I'm about 2 weeks out and look at my week, and I'll start finalizing things. And then I can just click the reminder button, send a reminder, and boom, it goes out. I don't have to get into my text messaging. I just click a reminder and it says, Tim Shannon has these horses scheduled and he will be out to do them on this date and time.
Right. Remind me, you were using a notebook for some things to help you with
Yeah.
your business, right? Do you want to
Yeah.
talk about that at all?
Yeah. So yeah, it was well kind of a notebook and kind of a lot of sheets of paper in a pocket of my backpack. It was a lot of scraps and different things. Yeah. And sometimes it was just, notes on their contact in my phone. It was all over the place.
Right.
Um, but yeah, this has really tied everything together. So I can click on the entries, I can see what I've done in the past and all the notes I need to know about the horses, and it's all
Right.
right there for me.
Is there anything that you might like to tell someone who's considering the app, but they're just struggling a little bit to get started?
Yeah, I think again, I said it before. If you're thinking about it, you've already got one foot in the door. Just go ahead and commit and do it. And once you're in, if you're already using an app, don't compare it to the app you've been using. I did that for a while in the beginning, and that was a mistake. I was like, well, my Forge Ahead does it this way. How come this doesn't do it? Because that was my comfort zone, right? So I needed to break out of the comfort zone and learn something new. So I finally just in my head stopped thinking about iForge Ahead. I just started thinking EQUINET. How does EQUINET do it? And that's once I submitted to that, I realized, oh shoot, this works really good. These are all things working together. I wonder if they planned that in the beginning. I don't know. I never asked, but whoever put it together had that triad, the scheduling, the entries, the invoicing, all just working, it seemed like seamlessly together. So if you're already using an app, don't compare it to the app. Just jump in and do this. And understand it will take time. Acknowledge that in the beginning. Again, it's like learning a new skill on the horse. Same thing. If you're learning crack repair, you're learning bar shoes, you're learning glue-ons, it takes a while, takes a little practice. And before you know it, people are calling you up and say, hey, I hear you do crack repair. Why don't you come out and do that? And
Right.
same thing with this. Somebody's going to come up to you. Hey, I hear you use EQUINET. Is it working good? Oh, yeah, I don't hardly think about it anymore. It's just part of what my practice is. Do
Right.
it. And remember, on the back end, you're going to look really professional. And when vets start getting things, they look at you and talk to you differently, especially when you follow up with what you did. I think a very important thing I teach about all the time is when you're working on therapeutic stuff, you come up with a plan A that you and the vet have decided on, but plan A doesn't always work. You need to have a plan B. So if you give a report and say, hey, I did, XYZ to this horse, but if this isn't going to work, I'd like to do ABC. And that's what you're sending out to your client and to your vet. Working on horse, you're going to look like a super stud. You're going to look really good out there because two things are going to happen. Either XYZ is going to work the first time and you're a hero because you put it on. And then if XYZ doesn't work and you need to go to ABC, you're a hero again because you said it might not work. And if it doesn't, here's the other plan. So it's a win on both sides. So when people start seeing that and you have it in written form, professionally sent with pictures, you're going to get a lot more respect. You're going to look good. And vets are going to start saying the best thing in the world. Here's the radiographs. Here's what I found on the horse. Go shoe this horse the way you think it should be done. And that's what we like to hear.
Yeah.
And that's what professionalism will get you.
So not anything written on a piece of paper somewhere.
No prescriptions from vets.
Yeah.
Mechanical changes all.
Well, I think that's excellent. I think we've covered quite a bit. I'm glad that we were able to cover so much today. We'd
Yeah.
love to have more of these if anyone wants to ever send us any questions that you have. Of course, we'd love to talk to you anytime, but if there's a special topic you have in mind, we'd be happy to talk about that in the future. And just a couple of final things before we go. One, I just want to mention that we have talked about how to get in contact with us. You can go ahead and scan this to book a one-on-one with Tim or myself. And you can also, we've got numbers that you can call. You can always email us or chat with us. And there's always a live chat feature right in the app. So if you have questions when you're out, just hit that button and we'd be happy to get back to you. That is just about all the time we have for today. So after this, we're going to be sending you a follow-up email and it has a link to the recording. So feel free to review that. And if you have any additional questions, just let us know. Thank you, Tim, for everything today.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
Thanks, Brooke, for moderating.
Yeah, I'll see you later. And everybody else, have a good afternoon.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.